originally from Virginia. Tiffany or Tiff? Interchangeable?
You can call me Tiff. Interchangeable. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
But once you've gotten to know me and we're officially friends, you can call me Tiff.
Okay. And pronouns?
She, hers.
And now call San Diego home. That's a big statement.
Absolutely.
Where
Yeah.
she has thrived for the past 6 years. Congratulations for making it past the 5-year mark and also affording to live here for 6 years.
Exactly. That part. That part. Listen.
But
it's a blessing.
Don't really know what we're capable of when you put yourself in a different fishbowl. And I think that's a big part of this conversation too. She's currently pursuing her doctorate in acupuncture and Chinese medicine while also working full-time as a strength and conditioning coach for the local utility company. I love that. I just want to make sure, the local utility company, what does that mean?
I just wanted to keep it vague, but it's SDG&E. I work for the gas and electric company here.
Gotcha. But a strength and conditioning coach?
I know.
That's confusing.
I know. I know.
Enlighten us. First, enlighten us on that.
Okay. Well, when I first got so I was working as a personal trainer at the Y, and like some other strength and conditioning work at like UCSD, working with their athletes and all that kind of stuff. And I was just tired of being back and forth. And so I was revamping my LinkedIn, trying to land a new job. And then I was doing a lot actually to try to manifest just like good opportunity into my life. But yeah, I was revamping everything, get a bing on LinkedIn, and I thought it was spam. It's like, hey, we're hiring athletic trainers is what they called it. If you're familiar with the industry, there's like levels. There's personal trainers, there's athletic trainers, there's strength and conditioning coaches. They all like have their own certifications. So to say they needed an athletic trainer when I'm a certified strength and conditioning coach, it's a little different, but if they reached out to me with interest, I'm like, okay, fine. But I thought it was spam. I thought it was freaking spam. They're like, hey, we need strength and conditioning coaches at the utility company. We think you'd be a good fit. Would you be interested? And then in the email, it said, this is not spam. We promise. We know it sounds a little weird, but we're actually interested in you. Give us a call if you're interested. I'm just like,
wow.
It won't hurt.
No.
And so it ended up being like a really, 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 really cool opportunity. So the people who are doing like your gas pipe changeouts, working on your electrical lines, changing out the poles, changing out the wiring. You get like a gas leak in your home, changing out your gas meter, any stuff like that. I'm in charge of helping them make sure they don't hurt themselves. So our focus is injury prevention and just making sure they're taking care of their bodies, making sure they know what to do if things do come up, making sure they're taking proactive approaches to making sure things don't come up. And yeah, it's a really sweet, dope gig and a small, I think, overlooked community that I get to help. And it's just super rewarding. Super cool.
What? I'm just over here stunned. I'm stunned because we never had these conversations about what we can be when we grow up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously, still growing, still so many choices. But the crazy thing to me is like, first off, this is a thing. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
And someone who lives downtown, I see all those guys all the time. So I'm just like, wait.
Yes.
Tiffany's connected
they
to
stay
them
downtown.
somehow.
Those are my guys.
I'm like,
those
what?
are my guys. And gals.
And
people.
I mean, yes. But let's be real. You know who's really throwing it down in body and conditioning? Downtown. Everybody. UPS, the FedEx, the Amazon. Maybe not the Amazon.
Busy.
Amazon getting, but like UPS drivers, the guys who've been doing it, the folks that've been doing it. I was like, man, y'all look good. I've thought about it. It's like, if I need a job when I'm older, if I feel like I'm, not taking care of my body, I'm going to become a UPS driver. Don't even care.
Listen, delivering mail, just UPS, not UPS. Yeah, just postal service. Just your common postal service.
Yeah.
Just, taking them steps throughout the day. Here's your envelope.
Yes.
Dude, I thought about doing that when I first moved here. I was like, they get paid decent, right? It's the government.
It's sunny outside.
Yeah, learn the community.
I thought about it too.
Like, that'd be dope. Is that a weird thing?
No, but how sweet is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Like even just to understand the postal system, you know what I mean? Because it was one thing to be a mail person back in the day, but now it's like a whole ecosystem, and I'm just like, I wouldn't have signed up. I hope they got a pay increase, because I would not have signed up for some packages that people be sending and returning the next day. Y'all wild.
Yeah.
Anyways,
wildin'.
Wild. Okay, Virginia, San Diego, and then we got to catch him up as to how we got together. But tell me what it was like growing up in Virginia. Virginia and West Virginia, right? As I'm testing my
Yes,
geography. Okay,
definitely
thank you.
Virginia. West
Okay,
Virginia is a whole different
whole different.
beast of country.
But I'm
But
thinking, but I'm thinking
yeah.
Missy and Pharrell, Virginia or West
Yeah,
Virginia.
yeah, we could say that. Virginia.
Okay, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay. We can say
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Okay, just
Yeah,
want to make
for sure.
sure. Okay,
Yeah, I
and
claim them. And Chris Brown, I claim
and
them.
I was gonna say Chris
Yeah,
Pratt. I
yeah,
was like, wait, I know the hand
I'll
sign. I
claim them.
know the
Yeah,
hand sign.
yeah.
Okay, yes. So tell me what it's like growing up in Virginia as a mixed black person. I don't. Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm over here on the West Coast, so what's life like over there?
Ah, so
You're like, ah.
I don't even know where to start. There is a lot of history in
Gosh,
Virginia,
yeah.
especially like, Tidewater area, like right by Chesapeake, Norfolk, if people are familiar with Norfolk. I'm from Danville, small little town right in the smack dab middle of Virginia, borderline North Carolina. So I'm technically from the South
Wow.
and uh, grew up Southern Baptist church. My people were very much into going to church and very traditional way of being brought up. A lot of racist history and stuff just in my hometown. Like if you go there now, you'll still see Confederate flags hanging up.
Mm.
Uh, it's interesting. I grew up on a farm,
What?
grew up in the country,
What?
grew up driving tractors, taking care of cows.
Stop it. Who am I
So I'm
talking
a
to right
country
now?
girl at heart.
Oh my I'm
My
just so
mama said,
excited. I'm just so excited. Continue. I'm listening. You have my full attention.
I love it. Yeah, I'm a little country girl. Grew up. My first thing that I drove was a tractor.
Oh my
So learned to drive a stick shift on the tractor, going like 6 miles an hour down the highway. Just me, two lanes, one. Um, Family had just shit ton of acres of land, and we're just so that was my upbringing. Very small town living. Didn't see a lot of variety in people and culture. I think there were a handful of Mexican and Asian people in my hometown, even fewer in my school system. So like just didn't get exposed to a lot of stuff,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think Asian cuisine was the most adventurous thing was like it's just Chinese food. I didn't know anything about like Thai food, didn't know anything else outside of
Yeah.
Chinese food,
Yeah.
if it was let me stop. But yeah, very small town mindset, small town living, country living, uh, and just very traditional. And so my grandparents specifically, they did a lot with raising me because uh my dad, it's like
Yeah.
so many tangents to go on. My dad was in and out of jail when I was younger,
Mm.
and his family lived in New York and Florida
Mixed with
and like
what,
some
by the
places in
way?
between. Black, Chinese, and Native Indian, and a little bit of Jamaican.
Okay. I know. When you said New York and Florida, I was like, oh,
Yeah,
there's some
you
spice
can get
in those
anything.
ones. I was like, what a
Yeah,
little
yeah, you get
spice
a
in
little,
there. Okay.
yeah, a little zest in
Yes.
there.
A lot of zest, actually.
Yes.
A lot of zest.
But yeah, so they were too far to really to get to and to see regularly. So I grew up with my country grandparents for the most part, and they were super traditional. Went to
Yeah.
church. Uh, Grandpa's a deacon,
Mm.
grandma's deaconess. My grandpa's the right hand man. Um, and yeah, it's just I think the biggest thing that was pushed on me as a child is just like, all right, the guys do this, the girls do that. There's no opportunity for mixing and mingling. And I pretty much knew I was gay since forever,
Yeah.
like literally forever.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't really have words for it. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always knew I liked girls, at least since 5. That's the earliest I can really have a lot of memory around my train of thought for things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
No, I want to look. I love
I'm like,
look.
that's
I
the
got
general.
you. It is a general,
Yeah.
and I want to acknowledge that we're going to be going. This is the beauty about this platform, y'all. If you don't know already, this is Tomboy International presents Leading the Pack, or Leading the Pack presents Tomboy International, and there's 2 reasons why Tiff is on this call. Okay, One, so it's called Tomboy International because tomboy was like kind of the first thing that as a little person most of us got called. Like, okay, you're a little different. You know what I mean? So I was like, what is the
Yeah, you're a little
most general term I could think of, like, as little girls, like, what was the
That's too
first thing they're
perfect.
like, you're different. Okay, thank you. And
That
this,
is
and
perfectly
right.
put.
So I
Yeah.
was like thinking about younger selves. I was like, that's language that I think most people will understand, and I'll have to translate
Hmm.
it into other things, into other languages in the future. But second reason why Tiff is on the call is because of the intersectionality of all of the New York, the Florida. I'm still don't know where mom's in this. You know what I mean? Growing up in Virginia, coming from a faith-based community, all that stuff, right? But third, there's three reasons why anyone would show up on the show. Is one, the masculine centeredness, the tomboyness. Two, the intersectionality of all of that. So obviously coming from a person of color background. And second or third is spirit, right? Is still his, despite everything that we're about to get to know about Tiff, I still observe we're still choosing joy. We're still choosing peace.
Yeah.
We're still choosing love. And for me, it's so important for me to continue to highlight that, because right now, that's not what a lot of people are choosing. And to be in these vessels is really easy to choose the other side, because there's so many
Hmm.
things that have been stacked up against us in what it means to be human in 2024. And thankfully, we're having conversations about it. But for me, it's important for us to acknowledge the many identities that have been given to us in this lifetime. And I want to acknowledge, because you went straight into, you're telling a little bit about your story, but you went into, I was gay at 5. And as much as I want y'all to be here and be like, oh, this platform is for queer, no. We have enough of that. This is about talking about all of the identities that the world has given us, but getting to the heart of who we truly are. So I just want to preface that, Tiff. Yeah, we're going to talk about queerness, but that's not the most important thing about us. And I think
Yeah.
that we need to have more conversations about other things that make us who we are. So, as much as you think this is gonna go some types of way, it's not. We're gonna
It's
go.
not. Never. Ever.
Yeah. I was like, no.
Yeah.
I need to know how your parents met, because to have a little
Mm.
mixed baby in Virginia don't just happen. Because it's one thing
That's
to be black in the
dang.
South.
Yeah.
I'm curious of your experience of being mixed in the South.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Actually,
would you say
damn.
that would probably be the first identifier or second identifier? You're like, I'm a little different than the rest of the kids around here. I want to,
I
that's what I'm really curious of. When did they start pointing out the
that is
differences in us? You
very
know?
interesting. Oh, I mean, yeah. I think that's a really good question. I think I was always all right, if I had to choose between gay and just ethnically different, I'd probably say the gay thing was probably the more prevalent. Like,
It
oh,
was that
you're a little
obvious.
different. Listen,
I'm sorry. I love
I'd
it.
probably say that for sure.
But
At least that's what I would feel more different about,
okay.
because I knew ethnically, like, I I look different from my sister in regards of like my hair's a little longer, it's thinner, it's we kind of look the same but different. It's interesting. If you guys ever take time to look at my sister and our profiles, um, you look at us. Some people are just like, damn, they're twins, and some people are like, nah, y'all don't look alike.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. Um, we vary so much just in some of our features. She's taller, I'm shorter. My hair's like down to my butt. Her hair is like down to her shoulders. Uh, and so like in that regard, I already knew that I kind of stood out, and so that wasn't as prevalent for me. And people were always like, "Oh my God, your hair's so long. Can I touch your hair?" Like that's just what I always grew up with, so it didn't really. Oh, like I knew,
Okay.
but it didn't really. What's the word I'm looking for? It didn't. It didn't
Was there a
offer me
lot
an
of
opportunity.
was there a lot of
There
mixed
wasn't
folks in
like
the
a
area?
no.
No, that's what I'm saying.
No,
Like,
at least not to my knowledge for sure.
yeah.
Like it could have been, and I just wasn't really aware of it. But
But
it was a
did you
pretty
think
black and
people
white
kind
town.
of just like pegged you more with folks of color?
Yeah, for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I was still pretty brown, so that helped.
Yeah.
That helped. That's funny. Uh, but yeah, like it's definitely the gay thing. That was
Okay.
more so on my radar for
Yeah,
sure.
I say that because my first indicator that I was different was because of my eyes. Like, so I grew up predominantly in a
Hmm.
Mexican area because I'm from Phoenix, and so we're very close to Mexico, and so yes, I'm brown, but my eyes are a little bit
Yeah.
different than everybody else's. They're like, so they would call me Chinita. You know what I mean? I was like,
Mm.
and I was like, am I Chinese? Am I Chinese? I was like, I'm gonna have to do some research on that. I do have a little bit of Chinese on
Interesting.
that. But yeah, so my first indicator was like, oh, your eyes are different. So it wasn't even being gay yet. We haven't even gotten there for like a while,
Interesting.
actually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not that they had to like be. I think it was also very obvious, but no one. They're just like, oh, So being Asian was the first. Being Filipino
Huh.
was the first indicator. I was like, oh, I'm different than the rest of these kids. Interesting. I was like,
Dang.
but there's some of the same languages in the house. I kind of know what you're talking about. Not really. Okay.
Now, did you feel that amongst like your peers or amongst like family and older folks when you were a kid?
Well, it was amongst my peers because my peers were all
Okay.
Mexican. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And also very limited black folks and very limited white folks and no Asians. I was like, where's everybody? Where are y'all at? So I was
Hmm.
typically one of maybe a handful of Asians, but because I was a brown Asian compared, and that's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation.
Yeah.
I just kind of blended in a little bit better. So you talk to me, I'm gonna talk to you all in Spanish more than anything. Don't talk like I was at Circle K
Don't
or
get
no,
it
I was at
twisted.
7-Eleven yesterday. This black gentleman who wears only Levi's. This gentleman, you have to meet him.
Okay.
I wish I got his name. Down to his underwear and socks. He was talking to me in Tagalog, and I was like, sorry, bud, I'm from Arizona.
Right.
like,
That's
I can talk to you in Spanish though, a little bit.
right.
So yes, my first difference was actually ethnically. So it's interesting that yours
Hmm.
is being queer. So tell me more about that. So you knew from a very long time, and when did they start pointing that out to you?
Literally forever. Like,
What were they saying? What are you saying to a
all right.
child
Um,
who has no language
ah,
for existing at this
that's
point?
what I'm it's so interesting to think about, there's no, especially to have the language that we have today.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know, like, oh, she's just tomboy. I think tomboy is probably the biggest word that would always come up.
Yep.
Um, or just, did you ever do this when you were a kid? Did you know
No.
what this was?
No. What are you
So
doing? What are we
this
doing?
was this is gay.
What?
I learned this in kindergarten or
Wait,
first
which one
grade.
are
People
we
would always
pointing
look at
at?
me and this is
The
just the
middle
palm of
one?
your hand. It's like,
Just
oh, you're gay. I would get that
oh.
a
Okay.
lot.
I'm all like, if you get a
Um,
line, if you get a certain
or
line.
was it this? I think it's like if you did this to people to their face, that meant they're gay. So interesting. Just like little, what is that? What
What?
even is that?
What? I have
Anyway, so I get
never.
that a lot. That is my whatever you want to call it,
Okay. Do
So
do
people
you
would do that to me a
remember
lot.
your first your first moment when that happened? You're like,
Uh I mean, maybe not the first moment, but I remember a couple of instances. Yeah, it's just a thing. I don't even
interesting.
know. It happened too often. At this point, it almost kind of drowned out the significance of it. It's just like, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, and I'm not going to tell you guys that.
Yeah.
Like, then I'm labeled as different. So no, I'm not. Get out
Yeah.
of here.
Okay.
But anyway,
So when did you start getting language? Like where, or did you start having instances that your family started treating you different or having different kinds of conversations? It's just, again, the tension of the faith base and then also the nonverbal cues but but it's obvious. And I'm trying to make sense of all this. You're like, I'm trying to make all sense of this.
listen, I don't. I was ready, but I don't think I was ready.
No, no,
Um,
most people aren't. And that's why when I tell people, I'm like, my curiosity is something else. I was like, I need to get paid for this.
it's different,
I need to
right?
get paid for this,
That's what we're
y'all.
manifesting for sure. Absolutely.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Um, let's see.
And it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay to not have those answers, but I think y'all, what I'm observing, and maybe this is a part of it. Let's take it to the next level. You said that you have a sister. How is that? It seems like that relationship is quite solid enough to have an Instagram partnership account.
That's my bestie.
Yes, yes, yes.
I love her.
So maybe she's younger, older.
She's older,
So maybe there's just maybe even a slight covering.
questionably. Oh,
Yeah, maybe there's a slight covering too. You know what I mean? Of like, don't mess with my little sister. Just curious. Tell me more about that. Maybe.
When you get to meet Ash, there's one thing everybody knows about her. Like I said, she's taller than me. She is solid. She's built. She
Yeah.
looked like a Samoan. She's an Aries.
Ooh.
And so the one thing she's gonna give off is don't fuck with my little sister.
Yeah.
Always. And so
Yeah.
I've always appreciated that about her.
Oh.
And so yeah, to this day, I actually have a random side tangent that has nothing to do with queerness, but I tore my ACL and my meniscus
Yeah.
back in 2015 playing rec league soccer, adult league soccer, and it was non-contact.
Oh gosh.
And so I'm just like walking up to the ball. I go to kick it. I plant my leg. My knee goes, and I'm down. I know. I'm sorry. If you're queasy, kind of here's the
I've
disclaimer.
never broken a bone.
Let's get the last part.
Yeah. So I'm like, where did
I
they
wish
go?
that I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I tore my ACL and meniscus, and the first thing Ash does, she runs up, she's just like, "Who was it? Was it him? Was it him? I'll get him. I'll go get him. Who was it?" I was like, "Sis, it's okay. It was me. It was on me. You sure? Because he's right there. I'll go get him." I was like, "It's okay, Ash. Chill. It was just me. Nobody did anything. It's okay." So she's always had that energy. Always. And she's always created, well, it took a little while, but like in adulthood and since maybe like college, when I embraced more of my queerness and just being differentness, she's, tried to create a safe space for me and like protect me from my mom and my grandparents and friend, whoever the ops were, whoever was not here for me, she's always down to go to war. And I appreciate her for that. So
and talking to you, I'm like, that's the difference. I think a big difference. I grew up more so as an only child. I have older siblings that are 15 to 30 years older than me. They're half siblings. And so I think this is also a consciousness of like the practice of telling our stories differently, right? Or even just telling parts of our story that we probably never shared before or even thought of, because that's what I think for me is I because I grew up mostly as an only child in that sense, I had a lot of time to myself, had a lot of time to be thinking, had a lot of time to be observing. And I had a lot of time to be journaling too. So I still have my first journal from 3rd grade. It was a Lion King Nala one. And I was, yes, and had a lock on it and everything. Nobody could read my secrets about every NSYNCer that I had a crush on or whatever. Shout out to Justin Timberlake for still being relevant.
Yes,
that's
thank you.
A feat in itself. But yeah, and so yeah, I've just had like anytime something were to happen, I didn't have a big sister to go to or a sibling to be like, I'm getting bullied at school. I'm being forced out of the closet from my best friend. Like I didn't, I was going through these experiences and I didn't have anyone to talk to. My mom is self-employed, and she runs adult homes. So I grew up with a whole bunch of dying, aging adults in the home. And so my mom was, coming from the Philippines. I'm first gen, born and raised in Phoenix. And so we got 3 houses. My mom's a provider. We got 3 houses. So I got everything I needed.
Shout out to moms.
You know what I mean? Besides her presence, right? Yeah. And so the presence of a sibling or the presence of a guide or mentor, an auntie, a Thea, whatever the case, was not there. So I think that's the reflection and the curiosity of how other people live is a gift that I've been given because there's just so much to learn about so many people. So speaking of, so when these questions come up, it's because I've had a lot of time to think about things. And so I'm just trying to connect the dots and see how other folks be living out in these streets.
So I definitely wanted to be a journaler as a kid. I had a little Dear Diary situation. Do you remember that little flip electronic Dear Diary that had like a little keyboard, almost like the Sidekick phone? It's not that, but it was like hot pink. Yes. And it was like Dear Diary, and you could type your thoughts, and it would just log it electronically.
No, but I
always wanted one of those.
Continue.
But anyway, so I wanted that, but I settled for a little notebook, and then it got to a point where I couldn't hide it because my mom would come in and try to read my stuff, or like I don't know if Ash would try to do it either, but like it was too open, too exposed. So I'm like, there's no safe space for me to write down my feelings, no nothing, and I wasn't aware enough to talk to people about it. So, that's definitely a pro that you didn't have the siblings and that you had the space for that. So that I wanted that. That's
Hmm.
cool to hear. I
Hmm.
hadn't really thought about that. Um,
We
but
always
can we
think,
backtrack
yeah, yeah, yeah. We always think the
to your
grass is greener on the other side, right? But it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's just the cards have been
It's
dealt.
always yeah, it's just something.
Yeah, yeah. Backtrack to what?
Uh your friend, your best friend outed you?
Yes. Um,
Ooh.
ah, yeah, we're just too
I
young
was about to
for
say if you
this.
want to talk okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, so again, opportunity to tell the story differently, right? But also at the same time, because I think that's the biggest part, y'all, is like events happen, but there's always three perspectives. It's your perspective, the other person's perspective, and the truth. And so we have to be so aware of how we share our perspective because then it starts to create our realities. So I'll tell you the old story that I'm working through, and
Okay.
I'm going to take the practice of telling the new story. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Old story, knew this kid in third grade, did not like him because he said that the tetherball hit my butt. Okay? Body parts as a kid and being very embarrassing at that time. So I already was
Yeah.
like, I don't know this kid, I don't like this kid. And we see him on the playground and he's just, he's just outlandish. And so then we finally had sixth grade together and we ended up becoming best friends. I'm an only child. He was available. He was like, pretty adventurous. We're taking the bus to the public library, taking the car when we shouldn't be
That's
taking the
cute.
car, when we got into high school. So like he was
Oh.
my companion. And this is something, y'all, this is going to go deep, but he was my companion. And my mom was always very encouraging for anyone to have friends over, for me to be out in the streets after the lights are out. So, like, she just knew I was lonely and I was very sociable. So it's like, I'm also an Aries, by the way. So you can't be keeping me in the house all day, you know?
Yep.
You can't be keeping me in the house all day. So 12 years old comes around. This is 2002, y'all. And the internet is kind of surfacing. We had MySpace at the time, and so we're starting to connect with people on the internet, But because I think growing up in the 90s, and I think this is something to highlight, it's we were growing up in a time where we naturally adopted it because it was happening to all of us at the same time. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
it's one thing to adopt it as an adult. It's another thing to adopt it as a child when you're around middle school. Adopt like what in middle school? So it gets a little messy, right? Long story short, we're learning new language. Gay, lesbian, and bisexual. That's kind of really all we had at the time, y'all.
That's it.
So you was one if you was a little different, so
Yeah.
please connect us back to your family. They're using nonverbals. I'm like, what? This is so first off super cool, but I'm also like, they're just out here. No, in our streets, it's like you're gay, you're a lesbian, you're bisexual. We're gonna tell you to your face. So yeah, I was just learning new language, and I just remember being like, telling them, it's like, I think I'm one of these things.
Mhm.
And the safest route at the time was saying bisexual. I'm like, I still like boys, but I also like them too. And I want to highlight this because I think we don't talk about this enough. So pin it there for us, Tiff. I still like
Yeah.
boys, y'all. I want y'all to know that it is possible to still, you know what I mean, to be in the vessels that we're in and be like, I still like boys. And that
Yeah.
has taken me a long time to come out again at, right? So yeah,
Yeah, we'll pin and talk about that for
we come
sure.
back around. And also just
That's
let me know if you need to like take a potty break too. Like we're out
oh,
here
I'm
in the
chilling. We
streets.
good.
Okay.
We good.
So yeah, I told him, and I think within the next day of school, like I confided in him, right? This is me trying to and next day this is the story I told myself. He ended up telling the big mouth in school that I've known since kindergarten, and she told everybody. Okay? And so looking back on it now, I would say it was pretty traumatic in a sense that I was just trying to make sense of myself. Things were happening to
Mhm.
me that couldn't understand, and in a sense of I started losing my friends. I'm very sociable, so I was very like, talkative and things of that sort. But then the next day, people stopped talking to me, and I just see them non-verbally whispering about me, and then like they were not like so we're in seventh grade at this point, y'all, and then they weren't like standing in line with me. They were kind of standing away from me as if like I had a disease or something. I was
Some
like, what
cooties or
is,
some shit.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, what's going on? Did I miss the memo or something like that? And so that's the story I'm telling myself. Okay. And the sob story is like, These are my friends. Me and this kid, we're still friends, but I didn't know because I thought it was this girl from kindergarten. I'm like, I never liked you. A little spicy. And so lost a lot of my friends, and I just felt very, very even more different than everybody else. And because it was of the times, we didn't have the language. And so in hindsight, you know, 8th grade, some other people start coming out. Maybe that's why people did that, coming out. And this kid ends up being, he doesn't come out to high
The
school.
one
but
you
he
confided
is
in?
gaze of the gays. Like, this is the guy you will see at Pride. Like, this is
I love it.
Yes, quintessential gay boy. Like, I'm sure he would be wearing, like, we haven't talked since then, but like Speedos, I'm like the whole thing. What you think of it, I'm pretty sure. And so I don't know, maybe it was a tester. So yeah, he's a poster child. And so in hindsight, what I've reflected on thus far and what I'm working through, that was my first instance of betrayal. And so building friendships since then, that's been the cornerstone that has been at the edge of friendships, that I could never fully go in and trust the same way that I did with him. And so now, because of that, I leaned into romantic relationships. So if you look, you know, the past 30 years, I was all like, I'm going to not do friendships.
Yeah.
Not intentionally. I was like, that just hurt way too much. Like, a friendship heartbreak is way different than a romantic heartbreak. And so it was just happened a little too soon in my life. A little too soon. And so, you know, you look back on it and yeah, it's romantic relationship after romantic relationship after romantic relationship. The difference now in hindsight was still seeking that companionship, not a relationship, because I got that companionship with him, and the narrative and the experience and the event I had, I was like, oh, if that's what companionship is like, I don't want it. So, of course, being queer and rolling into all of these romantic relationships, in hindsight, I could have skipped out on a lot of those. But again, it was the companionship and truly the community, right? Like legit community. Right now, it's 2024, y'all. Everyone's throwing that word around. Like, to actually live it, it's different. It's different than how our ancestors did it and how our grandparents did it. You know what I mean? So just like notes that I do think we're coming back around into what it means to truly be radically invested in each other's well-being. But right now, it's a buzzword. But as a little person, I needed to see more of it, needed more examples of how to do it. And I think also being first gen, navigating literally new territory, it was just a lot to do as a human. You know what I mean? So here we are.
Did you find as a kid some of the people that obviously you confided in and that you just like wanted to be, that you were drawn to being friends with? Do you find them now later on that we're adults, that they're gay or queer or something?
I would say so. I will say I was, you know, kissing a few of them once we got to high school, so it was a little confusing.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully for the internet. Oh gosh, and like that's what I'm saying. When I think about elders, those who've been in the community and doing work for us for the past 100, 200, forever years, because we've been around forever. Thankfully, we were alive during the time of the internet. So yes, that 1 year was uncomfortable. Maybe 8th grade was uncomfortable too. So 2002, 2003. But by first year, second year, third year, like everybody was coming out because MySpace just expedited knowledge, you know, and information being passed around. You know what I mean? So not that it became like normalized to some extent the way that it is, you know, now 20 years later. But I think if we weren't alive during the time of the internet, I don't think people would have had access to see different other kinds of queer people in different corners of the MySpace universe at the time.
That progression would have been a whole lot slower.
Oh, so different. Oh, the progression would have been a whole lot slower. So that's why it's so fascinating to me to capture our stories now, because we're living in the life that I think so many of our queer elders could only dream of. You know what I mean? And so, but that doesn't mean that there still doesn't come with a lot of other things that we need to navigate and work through, and challenges and things of that sort too. So that's why I think for me, I'm like, it's important for us to still have these conversations, because it's very easy for folks to push certain narratives out. And there's nothing better than getting to know people individually. And I think that's also another thing. People are too lazy to get to know people individually. It's so easy to just be like, yeah, they look like this. This is their experiences.
Yeah,
So
this is their box. Yep.
this is their box.
And then we're back to
So-
the same shit. Yep.
and back to the same. It's yeah. I think people are getting lazy in their curiosity, and so I hope that this inspires y'all to be more curious. It's the one thing that has gotten me to where I'm at, because if I didn't have curiosity, I don't know where I would be. So with you, speaking of more continued curiosity, so when you said that your family, your sister, especially when you started coming out, tell us more about that process. I think it's so fascinating to me that that was the indicator of your differentness. But there's so many other things. There's so many other things that we could have talked about, and experiences that we're living. So it's fascinating to hear that that one was the most obvious as a young person. So tell us the coming out process and having a big sister getting ready to beat everybody up. Jeez.
So, as I said, I knew since an early age. I don't think that it was a lot of question that, like, oh, she's probably gay, but, just wasn't talked about. It wasn't formalized. It wasn't verbally said for me, excuse me. And so, my first, my first girlfriend
Oh gosh.
was my sister's best friend at the time.
Of
Or
course it
one of her
was.
best friends. Of course, right?
Of course it was. You always coming over. Y'all having your little sleepovers.
So,
You
man,
know?
I wish my mom would have. My mom did not. Anyway, I saw her at school all the time. My mom was still like very much like, nah, man, these people ain't coming to my house. And like she's like, no. We don't have a lot of friends at the house.
Yeah.
You go to their house. Anyway, so it was my sister's best friend, and
Wait, how much
she
older
was one
is she?
of the 16 months.
Oh gosh,
a year
so
and a half. Not
close.
crazy. Yeah,
Close.
that's the homie. Wow, I know.
Continue.
Yeah, for sure. So she was one of the few out people in high school. I don't remember if she identified as gay or bi, but she had a girlfriend, and like her girlfriend was very masculine in the center. So that's another thing about my hometown. Like, again, I think that was the biggest thing about what we've talked about. There's one end of the spectrum. You're either hyper masculine or hyper feminine, and you just fit into these heteronormative boxes. And so, yeah, she had a very masculine girlfriend. They were together for a while. And I don't even remember how we started talking, but, it got to the point where it was serious. I'm like staying up on the phone to like 4 a.m. at night and stuff. And, my mom was like, who are you talking to? And or like I'm getting, you remember when texting wasn't free? You had to pay for text messages?
I literally checked my T-Mobile plan yesterday because I have someone in Canada right now, and it was like, I was like, do I even have, is this free?
Right. It's gotta be free.
Because I burned my mom so bad with like a $2,000 bill during that time.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I gotta double check if I'm
yourself.
Yes.
So I was telling on myself here, and I left a paper trail. And you could like read the messages on the printed out report of the phone, but I was messing up. But,
How old were you?
I was just young and dumb. How old was I? 14?
Okay.
What's freshman?
Yep. 14.
Yeah, 14.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Stupid. But anyway, yeah, so I'm already like drawing questions from family and friends. Like, who are you talking to at 4 a.m.? Why is the phone off the hook? And just, like, why are you and Keisha talking? Ooh, why are y'all talking so much?
Wait,
Sorry,
now, the way you said that made me seem that they still didn't know.
Who?
Okay, just the way you said their name was like, did they not find out?
I was just trying not to put names out there and stuff, but we're here now.
Yeah,
She's never gonna see this podcast. She ain't check for me like that.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the world, my friends know it's Keisha now. But
was it under wraps or something like that?
Yeah, because I still wasn't out.
Yeah. Did it ever become not under wraps?
Her friends and stuff kind of knew, but it was just like your bubble of people. Who did I even have friends that knew? I think my friends were her friends that knew, and so that's
and what
the
about
only
now? They know.
community I felt safe with.
They know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay. I
Yeah,
just want to make sure. I was
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yo,
yeah.
if this still under wraps, let me know. I'll cut that out
Yeah.
real quick.
No, 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 no. You're
Cut
good. You're
that
good. You
out.
can come out.
Okay.
That's a cute little moment. That works. Um, but yeah, it got to the point where I was just like, man, you know, I gotta tell somebody. What was the fucking story? So I was talking to Keisha, I think one day when I got back from school, and I was like, you know, I think I'm gonna tell my mama. I think I'm gonna tell her today.
How long
I'm
you
gonna
been
try to
dating
come
now?
out today. A couple months, nothing too
Okay.
crazy. You know, you fall in love real quick at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, you do.
But yeah, it was like maybe a couple months. It
Okay.
couldn't have been too long because all this felt like this was all in the timeline of the freshman year. So, but yeah, I was like, I'm gonna tell my mom when she comes home. And Keisha's like, no, 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 I don't think you should do that. You know your mom, da 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 da. And I was like, no, 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 it'll be fine. Like, my mom loves me. This is fantastic. It's gonna be great. Meanwhile, I'm pretty sure Ash had an idea all this time, but just never really said anything and would have expected me to tell her, of course, because we were so close. But like, you know, I didn't, you know, you're young and scared. You don't want to change the dynamics of the relationship. So like,
Yeah.
nah,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you yet.
Yeah.
I forgot how she found out. Dang, I should probably, we should guest feature her.
Yeah.
Because I know she's got things to say about that. She talks about that all the time. It hurt her feelings that I didn't come out and tell her. But anyway, so I told my mom, and my mom did not take it well, actually. I was like, oh, my mom's gonna, you know, she would never not love me or do it. You know, it's your mom, of course. She's gonna love you to the end. And like, I'm being honest with her, like she's always wanted. You know, I'm checking all the boxes. She wants me to talk to her. I'm going to tell her the truth. Should not have done that. Or like, maybe I should have. I don't know. But in the moment, it felt like the end of the world. She's like trying to kick me out the house. She's like, you know, if that's your girlfriend, you should go live with her. Give me your key. And just, it was traumatizing. But, you know, that was an awkward couple months. No, it's an awkward rest of the life, honestly. It's something that you still just always kind of work through. But I decided to come out to my mom that year, and it did not go well.
Yeah.
But hindsight, I would not change a thing that I did because the Band-Aid needed to be ripped off.
Yeah.
And I think that instantly kind of put me back in my little bubble where I was like, well, okay, well, I can't be gay because mom doesn't approve. She won't talk to me. She wants to kick me out of the house. So I guess I need to go back and try to be straight again. So I broke it off with Keisha, and, you know, Ash is awkward with me. So that put tensions between her and her best friend. You know, me and my mom are awkward. And so it's tough. But I found me a boyfriend.
Yeah, you did.
Still freshman year.
Yeah, you did.
Found me a
You
boyfriend.
like
Yeah, I did. Didn't
that
we?
game. I'm just kidding.
That's right. Hey, listen.
Right.
Versatile. No.
Whole field, okay? I love being in this vessel. It's so fun.
Ah, man.
Continue.
So, yeah, found a boyfriend. We were together all of high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did you like him?
Yeah, I liked him. He was cool.
But did you like
He was
him
cool.
like him?
I liked him. I loved him. Was I in love? I don't know. I loved him and appreciated him as a person for sure, and still do. He's still cool people. We haven't connected as of late, but you know, if I ever need anything, I feel comfortable reaching out to him.
I mean, gosh, all of high school, that's such a transition, like,
Yeah,
such a big part of life.
We've had history for sure.
And okay, now 2 questions. You got a boyfriend to probably settle it down with moms. Did that work? And then second, how did he knew that was, I mean, how did you come out to him? What was that whole story?
I mean, I was wondering if I wanted to go. I'm okay with it, but like, I don't think I've put this out there for other people to hear. But I feel like it's necessary because we're doing it for the kids.
We are.
But you know, I'm still doing my dirt.
Yeah.
I had a boyfriend, and I had people I was talking to throughout high school as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that was a secret on my part, but you know, I was kind of messy, and so people were talking.
Yeah.
Things got
Yeah.
out, but there was never really confirmation.
Yeah.
that these things were true or accurate.
Right.
But yeah, I had my fun
Yeah.
as well.
And what?
And to my knowledge, he had his fun
Yeah.
too, apparently. So,
But I guess I'm curious because I'm not sure if you know who, and maybe we're gonna have to go into this conversation too. He seem like cool with it? I say that because we have Jackie Hill Perry to her name, and she, do you know who that is? Jackie
I
Hill
don't.
Perry.
Jackie Hill Perry.
Yeah, she's a
Thank you,
pastor,
Beth.
black woman, prior queer black woman, and now has a husband, has kids. So I kind of always just think of the dynamic more so. I'm thinking about the masculinity and the femininity. That's kind of where I'm coming at. Is like, was he?
Yeah.
And this, I know for me, I'm like, I appreciate a boy.
Yeah.
I know the boys I typically like are a little bit more feminine, but just like by like 10-15%, because my masculine is 10-15%. Like, if I were to put numbers on it. But yeah, there's I love those kinds of boys that are comfortable in their masculinity, that they're not threatened by mine. You know what I mean? Like, because that's freaking rare. Like, masculinity is so toxic that it permeates everybody's lives. You know what I mean? I wonder if it was femininity it would be switched. I wonder what the world would be like. So I was just curious about him and how, he is.
Very, very masculine. And he's a guy's guy. He's a big, buff dude. Played football.
And how was that being in
Very
relationship
broy.
with him, knowing that you're masculine?
It worked
still?
because he was still sentimentally, like emotionally, he was sensitive, but still.
Shoot, give me his number.
He can be. He was. We worked well. I'll put it that way. We worked well. It was fine. He let me be me for the most part. He let me be me with the sides I decided to share with him, and I still felt like I was authentic in the way I would show up with him, and so we had fun. We were able to play sports together, which was cool.
I need me a boyfriend.
Yeah, I get you one, girl.
I haven't had one yet. I haven't had one yet.
They out here,
Yeah. I just want someone to play with. It goes back to the companionship. Like, I love y'all girls, but like, y'all messy. This messy. So I am not now, not in this moment. But yes, I would like. I'm gonna put it out there. Yeah, I would love to have a boyfriend one day. I don't care if that's a trans man. I don't care if it's. I don't just like. I would like to be with a man one day. Before the end of this life. Thank you. Let me know.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep that on my radar.
I appreciate you. Let me go on a blind date.
Yeah.
Anyways, because I haven't even done that yet either. Anyways, okay. So
all right.
tell me how when you came out, things like that. I'm sure he knows now, right? Like, and
yeah. Okay. So.
But actually, before we get to that, I want to know, what was that like for you, knowing that even so inkling, naturally you're, and I say this because I recently had this experience where, when a certain kind of species just has a different kind of draw on you, you know what I mean? So I'm just wanting to more highlight on the conversation of what it's like to be in maybe a situation that doesn't feel fully like yourself, and making decisions to make other people feel comfortable. That's kind of what I'm getting at about this. Can you elaborate on that?
Feels like shit.
Yeah.
Feels like absolute shit. Like, yeah, it's not great. I think for the longest time, most of my life, I think, has been around pleasing my parents, and specifically my mom. And like I could deal with not showing my full self to like my boyfriend at the time, or friends at school, because that was a small thing. Like, at the end of the day, I still loved and wanted my mom's support, and wanted to have a close connection with her. And so to just see something that would just jar her completely, to just like deter every connection with me, it's just like, oh man, it really hurt you that bad? Well, I guess maybe I'm missing something. Like, I guess I'll try to do the thing that you want me to do, because I'm a kid and just want to please mom. I guess that's mommy. And so not being able to be authentically me for up until after college, honestly. It took a long time. and still something that her and I kind of battle with. But yeah, like it really stunts, I think, your sense of self and your ability to grow just fully and to embrace, other people's love and just what the world has out there for you. So, yeah, I would encourage, the sooner you can just, in a smart, genuine way, just jump into being the person you think you want to be at the time. Even if that changes, because it will change. Actually, it
That
will
part.
change from year to year. It will change in 5 years. The person I thought I wanted to be was some yup in my white tee 4XL wearing Jordan fitted hat person, with a wife and 2 kids. And, I thought I wanted that whole like Danville country life, thugging it out dream. That was my ideal. And if I had lived out that dream from high school, I probably would be just that. Probably still stuck in Danville, probably not really experiencing life, probably not doing a podcast and just stuff like that, And so be who you want to be and just fight to get, even if it's not 100% of that in the moment when you decide like, okay, I want to work towards this, just work towards it and then just let shit unfold and just don't be scared to try other things as well. Like if you think you have a little bit of an interest, if it warms your heart just a little bit, fucking do it. Just do it. But yeah, like not being true to yourself, it's a battle. It's a battle.
I think that's the blessing in disguise for me coming out so young, is that once that was out in the world, then I got to focus on other things too. You know what I mean? Now I got to like see it from a lens of like, okay, this is my perspective. And this is what this community does, right? Because I could have attached to anyone. I could attach to my Filipino side. I could attach to the other girls. I could have attached to whoever. But the blessing is that now that that was put on the table at 12, I was like, now I get a whole 15 years to be myself in other ways. You know what I mean? Because it's already out there, and it's not this thing that is permeating in the background, which I'm sure could have been an experience for you being around family. I could only imagine it's probably like this buzzing sound or something like that, where like your spirit is like you're not fully expressed. You can't
like, hey,
can't fully show up. And so I can see how even, as you're continuing to unravel as a human being, where it's just something that's like practice of being more of who we are. And so I think coming out at a young age, it depends on how we take the event, right? And so if you have more time to be more of yourself at that time, like it's become now. It hurt at the time, but now it's become like great. Now I can focus on the work that I want to do, or the things I'm interested in, things that sort. So you're like, okay, cool. What else is there to me? Oh my goodness, there's so much more to us. And so that's something that I want to chat more about with you. Like the other thing I wanted to talk about was obviously the work that you're doing. How did you get into like physical fitness? I have a feeling when we were running laps as a kid, you were probably towards the front. I was like, no, thank you. My lung capacity is more towards the middle back end. You know what I mean? Tell us more about when you realized that like this is really important to you, or was it just an outlet, and how it's manifested in your life so far?
Definitely both. I figured this would come up too, because I feel like this is, like we've kind of talked about,
to us.
physicality and just like, listen, yes, having people that we can just like do sports with and just, like do the broy things with for me, it's always kind of been important. But I feel like that's a thing in the queer community where it's just like, I want to go let's play basketball. Come on. Because guys get to just go do that all for the rest of their life. It's normal for them. It's like, yeah, we're gonna go play a game of pickup, whatever, and they can do that for forever. But if a girl's out here hooping, you know, you might have one or two girls versus like, oh, look at the whole court of girls out there playing, you know. But anyway, yes, physicality, sports, that's always been a part of my life. I've been playing basketball since I was 5. That was a big bonding point with me and my dad, who honestly I would give a lot of, I guess credit is a good word. I wanted to be just like my dad when I was a kid. And so in that regard, that included the women too. I was like, yeah, I want to talk to these women.
In New York and Florida.
What's she doing? She looks kind of cute. Like, right. Like he's catcalling. Okay, I want a cat call too. But yeah, so like he kind of influenced quite a bit of all of that, my sexuality and just my interests and stuff, for better or for worse. But I'd say
you know,
for
and
better,
if they
for
ain't
sure.
bad looking, I don't blame him.
You know,
like I showed up here, so. I say that similar experience. My dad's pretty handsome dude, also a little playboy too. But he knows better. He knows my mama's the best. Come at, you know what I mean? He knows my mom's the best. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. So I'm curious about that. I want to talk about sports, but I have to talk about this because again, I'm comparing notes. I'm comparing notes here. I'm like, because I'm like, oh, maybe it's similar, maybe it's different. Yes, I agree in terms of kind of wanting to be like my dad. Even to this day, I'm like, we're like, who has the most girls? I'm like, Dad, like, first off, you're like in your 70s. So,
Dang,
you win on that.
Pops. There you go.
You know what I mean? But like, it was, I feel so grateful because growing up, it's like, hey, who you got this time? I'm like, well, you know, Dad, you know. But it's silly. But I'm curious with the relationship with Mom. I say this because I'm curious going into romantic relationships. And I don't know if it's just me, so I'm just curious. Is there like, you're talking about Mom and I wonder if there's a different relationship being in a queer body and the love that we have for our mom. I wonder if it's different compared to like our straight female friends. Because I know for me, the way I'm like, Mom, if you weren't Mom, I was like, first off, where are the duplicates of you? You know what I mean? I was like, because they don't make them like you anymore. Yeah. And second, there's just like this masculine aspect to it of wanting to protect her, wanting to provide for her, wanting to, and I don't know if my straight female friends feel the same way. So I'm kind of I'm curious with your relationship with Mom. Obviously, you know, unfortunately it's panned out the way that it's panning out and will continue to pan out and grow and evolve. But at the time, I'm just curious of your relationship, and heartstrings with Mom. I know that one. I haven't had a chance to talk about that one. I'm just comparing notes. I'm just like, I love my mom in a way.
I like that a lot.
You know,
and
I'm like, Mom, if you weren't my mom, what up, Mom?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
yes,
like,
and no, I get you. Yes, yes. Okay. I think like my mom is fine. She's a hard fucking worker. She checks all the boxes.
Checks all the boxes.
She checks all the boxes.
All the boxes.
Sure. Checks all the boxes. And so it's just like, yeah, my dad lucked out. Yeah, he scored a baddie.
That part.
A baddie.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to protect that for sure. I think there's a very strong burn for just like, yeah, protect Mom at all costs. Like that's my shawty. And you know, they always say you're gonna marry your mom, basically. I see some stuff there. There's some similarities there for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
For those of you
you're like, let me by the way.
Yeah, let me sprinkle that in.
Well, why don't you make the comparison for us? What are maybe some similarities that we gotta give them a little good stuff in here.
Little credit.
Yeah. What are some commonalities that you've seen in your mom that you have also loved in your fiance?
Both particular, very particular.
Yeah.
In different ways. It's so interesting. Anyway. There's commonalities for sure, and then the things that they have commonalities about are about completely different things. It's so interesting to witness. But anyway, let's see. Yes, both particular, both just givers, just will give, and it's like, can you sit down and take care of yourself, please? Thank you. What about
That
you?
part.
You gonna take
That
care of
part.
yourself? Great. Let's see what else. Of course, right now I'm drawing a blank. It's not the best time to draw blanks.
Everyone's like, "Are you
It's like
sure?"
on the
I'm
spot.
just
It's like,
kidding.
are you sure about that? Right.
It's not something people think about. I totally, it's fair.
It's something that me and Mezzy joke about quite often, though. Just like, well, you're gonna date your mom.
So
So
interesting.
it's something they bring up often enough. But of course, right now, on the
Yeah.
spot, I'm gonna come back.
Okay,
I'm
you
gonna
come
come
back.
back
You
for
come.
sure.
You know
Yeah.
what? You go back
I'll
to
sit with
them and
that.
you let them know. You give
Yeah,
them
exactly.
the answers.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Speaking of that,
yeah,
fiance
yeah. That's my baby.
and
Mezzy.
family,
Yeah, that almost
wedding
requires a whole nother
potentially.
podcast.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
I mean, getting
Yeah.
to the point where me and Mezzy can just be together openly and like be engaged, and for my mom to know about it and accept it. That's the biggest thing. So I think I came out to my mom like 3 times before
Wow.
she before she finally was just like, okay, I guess this is happening. I don't like it, but it's happened. Okay, fine. And the last time was, I think, a year into me, and it was after I tore my ACL.
Ouch.
It was shortly after that because my parents were coming up because I had surgery. Parents were coming up, and Mezzy, of course, wanted to be there to help take care of me. But because my mom wasn't as open to the idea, it was just like, well, y'all have to basically swap shifts. If my parents are here, you got to be out. And if you're here, then they got to be gone and finding something to do. But of course, they're the parents and they're staying with me. So it's just like, well, that really just means for the most part, you're going to be gone. But that was just kind of a dynamic that I carried into that new relationship from my previous relationship, my previous girlfriend at the time. It's just so interesting how we get into these habits of like, okay, this was how things were going, and so this is how I expect them to also go for the next thing, unless it was something completely traumatizing and you're just like, no, I definitely don't want this going into the next thing. But dynamics like that where it's just like, yeah, my parents are around, you got to be gone. Like it didn't even click for me to be like, oh, well, maybe that's something I should shift in my next relationship. And so Mezzy was very firm with me in saying, hey, I get it. This is how it's been. This is, whatever. But I can't do that. Like, I can't deal with that. If that's how it's going to be, I'm not asking you to change, but it's just like, it's not for me. And I was like, nah, like, I want you. So I'll make the change. And so just being presented with that opportunity to shift or that opportunity to think about something a little differently, and then choose like, okay, is this what I want? Yes or no? Move forward, move backward. And I'm just like, yeah, no, I need to make some changes. So at some point, I called my mom, and it was just like, because Mezzy would spend a lot of time at my house because it was easier for spending time and job and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, there was a point where they were thinking about coming up for the weekend for my mom's birthday. That's what it was. Dang, I did that to my mom on her birthday. It needed to be done. But I was just like, hey, if you guys do decide to come up this weekend, I just need y'all to know that like Mezzy is around, and so you'll probably have to see them at some point. Just food for thought. And I'll never forget my stepdad was just in the background. I guess you heard that, Annette. And that's my mom.
Yeah.
And Vince is just like, I love Vince. But so my stepdad, he's been an integral part to just supporting us, like growing up and supporting my mom. And so very grateful for him. But sometimes his timing is impeccable. I fucking love it. Like, he ain't gonna sugarcoat nothing. He's gonna be him. He's gonna say what's on his mind, blurt it out.
Yeah.
And so for me to just be like, hey, Ma, you know, if you come up, you're gonna meet Mezzy.
Yeah.
That's all to it. And this was just like, you heard that, didn't you? And so that shit cracked me up. And then you just hear my mom in the background just like, okay, well, I'm gonna go now, Tiff. And so they did not come up that weekend. But that laid the foundation for like, this is what I'm doing, Ma. You know, this is how it's gonna be. You can either choose to get with it or get lost. Let's tangent real quick. There was a point in college where, did I come out the second time?
Wow.
It's like, how, I know. There was a point in college where I had my previous girlfriend, the one actually before Mezzy. I've had these really long-term relationships. Apparently, I'm a serial monogamist.
Most of us are.
Yeah.
That's a whole other. I mean,
all these different tangents.
Yeah, it's a thing.
Yeah.
Continue.
My mom, she was going through some of my love letters that I had stupidly brought home from college one summer.
That wasn't smart.
Yeah, I know.
It's silly.
I know, but I just didn't want them I know. Listen,
it's okay.
If something you guys are learning about me, I'm not good at hiding the little things like that.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Yeah.
I need I don't know. I just apparently need to share.
It's just funny because even your little diary and even now.
Yeah, like I can't.
Wow. Patterns.
It's not meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so she found that and she's like asking me about it, and I basically told her that I had a girlfriend, and it caused tension, and there was a point where my mom and I didn't talk for like, I think 2 months.
Oh wow.
And this was close to my graduation for college. Was it close? Yeah, it was close to graduation because she almost didn't come to my graduation because it was that real. And I know. And she's, again, I know y'all hearing this, but like, she's a great person. She's just having her emotions. She's a Leo. She's got big emotions, lots of strong feelings and opinions about things. And so, yeah, I don't even know where I was going with it. Oh, so there was a point where, me and my mom didn't talk because of this same situation. And apparently that really hurt her. But to me, it's just like, you don't want to talk to me? Fine. Like, just, that'll free my mind then. When you want to come around, then I'll be ready to talk. And so if that took a month or two, then it took a month or two. Granted, it was hard to not talk to her or like just have these really short, superficial, how you doing? You had a good day? Class was okay? Okay, goodbye. And so, yeah, to have to she didn't want to go through that again. Yeah. Because that really tore her up, and they were vocal about that with me. Once we started talking again. Yeah. When I say they, I mean my stepdad and my mom. It was just like, yeah, I think she was emotional. She cried every day, is what my stepdad told me. But anyway, fast forward to the Messer situation.
Yeah, I want to know about the first time meeting. I'm just so curious.
Oh God.
How did it happen? God. This is fiance.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
You want to know how it happened?
I do want to know what
California.
happened. Tell me.
We moved to California together.
Yeah.
So
did it have anything to do with your mom? Like, what was the move to California for?
No.
Okay.
It was, so the move to California was for me. Since college, I dreamed of going to California. Wow. And my dream was to go to physical therapy school out here at San Diego State. That's a whole nother bubble.
Wow.
We started this with fitness and stuff.
Find your way.
But yes, physical therapy was the goal. Mezzy was in school in Vancouver, Canada, doing a holistic nutrition program, which, by the way, didn't tell me until shortly into our relationship, or no, like a year into our relationship, was just like, hey, also there's this thing that I've been thinking about doing. my whole life. I want to go to Canada and do this nutrition program. I'm probably going to do it. So if you want to still be together, cool. If not, then I'm still going to go do this thing. I'm just like, oh, well, cool. Let's do long distance then. No big deal. So baby and I did distance for like 16 months.
Oh, wow.
And I was flying out to Canada.
Yeah, you were.
Like every 2 months. It was fantastic though. Like I feel like that's third home right there. It's a really dope spot if you guys ever get there.
I'm third homing in Montreal right now, so.
Ooh,
yeah,
that's also a nice
yeah,
choice.
yeah.
But yeah, so Vancouver, the game plan was like, okay, well, what are you doing after school? She's like, well, what you trying to do? It's like, I'm trying to be in Canada. Maybe it's like, well, I'm sorry, not in Canada. I'm trying to be in Cali.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, you trying to go to Cali with me?
Yeah.
He was like, yeah, why not? Let's follow your dreams. I'm just like, you would follow my dreams for me, just like feeling so loved and seen, just like, dang, somebody wants to hold me down. Let's go. So we packed it up, drove down so I flew out to Canada. We drove down the coast to move to Cali.
Wow.
And so like, there's this big thing. I'm leaving my job. I'm leaving my home. I've been on the East Coast all my life. And it's like, dang, I'm about to go and move out to California with this person. Yeah. It's kind of a big deal, Ma.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big deal. So
Kinda
you can't like hide that from Mama. Yeah, exactly. Just a little bit. If you didn't catch it. Again.
I was a kid. Oh my goodness.
But yeah, so move out to Canada. Oh my God. Move out to San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's like super official.
Yeah.
Like
a whistle.
I got my own little family essentially.
Yeah.
Just me and baby. We're starting our own
Yeah.
thing. And of course my mom wants to check it out. Like, you good? Like, how's the new place? You need anything? I'm gonna come out there and see you. It's like, cool. You're gonna meet Mezzy. Okay, cool. Let's do the thing. And I think the first thing we did was go. So we went to go pick them up from the airport, of course. It was awkward, It was awkward. It just is what it is. It was silent. It was awkward. There's superficial, really small talk, but it's just, that's just how it's gotta be.
Yeah.
I get it. I expected nothing everything just went exactly how I expected it to go. So, picked them up from the airport. We go to Obi Noodle House.
Yes, you do.
And that's a place that my mom watches diners, drives, whatever Guy Fieri show is. And so that was the spot that she had picked out that she wanted to go to from watching that show. And yeah, we tried to enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah.
But like, we did the
progress.
Things. We hung out, but progress.
Yes.
Exactly. But progress. We're all riding around crammed in my little Honda Civic.
Gosh.
But it's just so funny. It's like, you guys are going to be closer than close,
This. I mean,
so it's fantastic.
I will say this. When you were sharing with me that your partner set some boundaries and said, if it's going to be this way, I don't want it. That's what I heard. You know what I mean? Like, either you need to...
We can add that to the similarities of my mom and Mezzy.
And that...
They will tell you what they want. Ooh, be clear about that.
Which, I can only imagine how that's unfolding for the two of them. But I only say this because I only get like this around Leos myself. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine your sister and mom dynamic too. But it's a little too hot. It's a little fire. It's a little hot. It's a little spicy. And
a little spicy.
Anyways, I got goosebumps when you shared that. Because one, okay, make moments like that, I'm like, okay, yes, that is fiance. But two, wow, like, what would life look like if we put our foot down on certain things that we won't accept or settle anymore? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And how the people that we love and care about, where it will force them to move on such big mountains that they probably would have never moved on if it weren't for the love and care that they have for you. And so I was just like, damn, okay,
Yeah.
Ezra, putting your foot down. Look, I love you. I love everything that you are, this person who raised you. But if this is the situation, it is not how I'm going to continue to live my life in these tiptoeing grounds or whatever the experience was for them. So I'm just like, wow. It just gave me goosebumps. And I just had to share that because I was just like, take note of that for anybody that we surround ourselves with. You know what I mean? Of beyond the romantic and like relational part, but like in anything in life. You know what I mean? Like I literally, y'all, I have this sticky note right here. Perfect timing. It says, I love myself too much to settle. And it could be as simple, it could be as complex as the relationships that we allow in our lives. It could be as much pay we get for the work that we do. Or, you know, sometimes I think about it, should I be eating that slice of pizza? Yeah.
Yes, you
but
should
another one and another one. Oh, that one's gonna hurt tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
Okay, yeah, maybe
to some extent, I only say that because I have a friend. I recently met her. She's a new friend, and we met up for maybe the third time, and it was just drawn on her face. She was just upset. And we're still new, so I'm still learning their characteristics. I was like, hey, is everything okay? Like, yeah. Like, yeah, but no. I was like, what happened? They're like, I just ate a pizza. I was like, a slice of pizza. I was like, most people would be really happy about that right now. You know what I mean? But this person, raw foods, right? Still trying to find their way in San Diego foods. And pizza to them was a level of settling. Like, I am never eating pizza again because of what it makes me feel like in my body. You know what I mean? So whatever settling means to us, y'all, what is it? What will it take and in practice for us to put our foot down for ourselves? You know, I think that's the hardest part. We can have folks that love us all the time be like, you need to put your foot down. You need to get paid more. You need to be in a better relationship. You need to da 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 da. But it's like, when are we going to put our foot down for ourselves? And I think for me that is forever going to be a lifelong practice, you know, but that moment when you shared that already, 10-15 minutes ago, it still stuck with me. It gave me a visceral goosebump feeling. I was like, man, like if that can continue to be cultivated and practiced and taught sooner than later in life and space to practice that, man, what a game changer of a society and humans that we would have when we just wouldn't settle anymore. So, but you know, I think it comes with the many identities that we have. I think already just being a woman, you know, I can only imagine, and I will come back to this question with your mom, but I do want to talk, because I'm curious of what are ways that she probably had to settle. Like, I'm just so curious about her as to why this is so heavy on her, and I do want to connect it to coming from a faith background. It's very confusing for me. This is very confusing for me, but what's going to happen is for the next 2 minutes of a potty break for me, I'm going to jump off camera, and I want you to share with the audience about your journey in being an athlete, it becoming your profession. I'm sure young people, there's so many athletes watching this right now, and whether y'all make it to the NBA or WNBA, I don't know about y'all, we kind of on the short stick again. How do you still
Absolutely.
I used to play ball too. So but I dropped that a long time ago. I was like, look, I can talk a lot. I'm going to make that a career.
I can talk a lot.
So yeah, I want you to share with them more vocational career stuff because, how you can still implement it into your life. Maybe if the dreams, I'm curious if the dreams did or did not come into fruition, and you're going to talk to them specifically by yourself because I'm going to hop off camera. Okay. So, but I'm still on the headphones, so I'm listening. I'm still listening.
You are still listening. Okay.
Unless you don't want me to.
Gotcha. Oh, no.
I gotta make sure you're not cursing at them. I know you're. I'm just kidding. Okay.
I think I'd like to start by saying a lot of us, we start, all right, if you're masculine presenting, or if you feel like you identify with more masculine energy, I think generally our baseline is we like sports. A lot of us, I identify as a stud, a soft stud. Apparently, that's again new language. You know, however you identify, if it lands, I think it's kind of cute. So I like that for myself. But like I said earlier, grew up playing sports. I feel like that's a common identifying, uniting factor amongst us. I had dreams to go to the WNBA, you know, or play pro soccer, but basketball was all I knew at an early age. So I was like, of course, basketball is the main goal. Like, I'd love to be a pro basketball girl. And, you know, let's actually talk a little bit about how the WNBA, when I was coming up, that was fresh. Like, but I didn't know it. So even just being able to see women playing professional sports or playing the sport that I wanted to be a part of, huge. So again, that's why we're here. That's why me and Kay Short are here talking and meeting, just trying to set an example. But yeah, like playing sports was huge for me. Being in my body was a good way for me to just get away, get the aggression out, and like also connect with, you know, some cute ass girls. You know, I get to flirt with my teammates and stuff, and like people are like boxing me out, you know, like that's my little taste of like, oh, I got a little booty on my lap and stuff like that. Just these little things that seem so, like, now that I'm older, just like, oh, that's kind of weird, kind of potentially insignificant, but they were like big things for me because, you know, I always had to kind of hide that bit of myself. But anyway, movement, big part of what I've wanted to do for forever. Obviously didn't make it to be a professional athlete, but it was also a good way for me to connect with just people. It was a good way for me to make money. So in college, you know, I would take on personal training clients, even though I wasn't certified. Like, I worked out. So I would either take friends to the gym, show them workouts, you know, meet up with guys and take them through workouts, or like we play ball together, things like that. Or if you have like a cute girl's like, hey, you know, can I work out with you? Like, girls, they love that. They love it. So of course I'm bought in. Like, yes, I will take you to the gym and work you out for sure. Let's do this every week, and then let's go get lunch after. Then whatever the case. So it was always a cool way for me to connect. And me not being like Kay Short, I'm not much of a talker. I'm not much of I'm going to put myself out there and like meet people and just do the social things. Like, I've always just been a little more reserved and in my own little bubble. And so if you are kind of like me, it's a nice little way to have like a one-on-one situation where you can still get to know people, but still show up as yourself and still be authentic, but still have fun and just, you know, do cool things and create a sense of community, because you're doing these one-on-ones with a couple different people and just creating a bigger bubble. And it's fun. You know, you get to break a little sweat. You guys get to boost camaraderie and like suffer together, talk about it later, and then they go tell their friends, and you got a bigger group of people that you get to connect with. It's dope. It's really dope. So, fast forward to, I guess, just career options to consider. I think what I find people gravitate towards is like physical therapy or like nursing. It tends to be, I'd say, the career field that people hear about. And then if you decide to go to college, athletic training is another thing, because that requires a bachelor's. But yeah, it's like there's so many different levels of fitness or movement-based things that people don't even know about, that I definitely wasn't exposed to. It was just physical therapy or professional sports or like go be a doctor or something like that. Side tangent, my mom has been a nurse all of my life. She was a RN, and then she recently got her master's in nursing and is a nurse practitioner for the last maybe decade or so now, which is wild because we kind of helped her get through school as well, like, you know, just editing her papers and things like that, which I feel like I have an honorary degree at this rate. Where was I going with that? Oh, but so she was a nurse, and I grew up in the hospital basically. So I got to meet a lot of medical folks. I got to see a lot of things, and I knew that I always wanted to be in the I wanted to be a health professional because, I'm a helper. I like to help people. I like to be there to support them and see them through whatever the thing is. Help them reach their goal. I knew I did not want to be a nurse because my mom would come home and tell me stories about her having to wipe people's butts and stuff all day. I'm like, no, that's not for me. I don't like that. I don't want to do that. I need something a little more giddy up. And so she was telling me about physical therapy since like high school or something like that. I've had my fair share of injuries, being in sports all the time. I rolled my ankles all the time. So rehabilitation was kind of a part of my field. Or a part of my trajectory that I was exposed to. But yeah, then I get to college and you take these courses, or I chose to take these courses because I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. So they have like this undecided major, and you can figure out like, okay, take these courses, take these tests, so you can see what's out there. And it gives you all these different lists of things. And even within those lists of things, it's still a very generalized, these are the common things that people hear about and go through. And that's physical therapy, that's occupational therapy, athletic training, a nutritionist, exercise physiologist, things like that. And yeah, physical therapy stuck with me the most. And yeah, I should also probably side tangent and say I wanted to be a psychiatrist coming up. Given all the ups and downs and having to figure out like why are people thinking about things the way that they think about? Why is my mom, treating me this way? Or why do people think I'm weird? Having these questions of like just constantly why and what drives people to be the way they are. I wanted that understanding, so I thought psychiatry would be the way to go. I get to college and I see that that's like 8+ years of school. I was like, nah, hard pass on that. I can't do 8 more years of school. That's a definite no. And so that's when I switched into the undecided major, and yeah, figured I would get back into my body and find the physical. COVID hit. So COVID hit. I didn't get into school, and you have these weird 1.5, 2 years of like, well, what the hell is going to happen to the world? Like, do I want to do online school? Like, do I still want to be a PT? I don't know. Is this for me? Like, maybe this was not meant to be. And then my partner went to acupuncture and Chinese medicine school. So they're the reason I even know anything about acupuncture. It's not a part of my small town living. Had no idea what it was. And then, yeah, my partner's going through it and graduates in August. Kudos to baby. And then here I go, jumping right in at the tail end of their career. So, but yeah, it seemed like a better fit. It seemed, because I already have so much of a physical therapy background, I worked in a clinic for about 6 years. I feel pretty good about how I can rehabilitate or just help people on a physical end. And acupuncture seems like it's kind of that missing energetic piece, that more holistic approach to health and wellness. Yeah, and so
We're in school again.
we're in school. We're back in school. And guess how long this program's about to take? About 6 to 8 years. Isn't that funny? Just like small world. It's like, you thought you didn't want to do this.
Wow.
Gotcha, bitch.
Wow.
Like, you are going to be in school. You're
Yeah.
going to do this. So
Yeah.
it's fine. But yeah, I'm stuck in school for the next, not stuck. I am honored to be going through this program for the next 5 to 6-ish years. We'll see how everything goes. But yeah, I've been in for about a year now, which is wild to say, but just
That
slow
is
and steady journey.
crazy. And before I
I'm
kind of make a
excited.
point into all this,
Yeah.
you also go military somewhere in here?
No,
or
I was not military. That was the goal, and then just, it was weird. But no, I
Yeah.
was trying to join the military though.
Yeah, which is another common path for a lot of masculine center folks. It's
I was just about to say
typically,
that too. Yeah.
and I love that you mentioned that. Typically, what I've observed, and this is why I love that you went down the path of how you can find yourself in, if as long as you're continuously open and pursuing and putting in effort, things will start to reveal itself. And so I love that you're like, hey, I didn't become get to play, WNBA. Sorry,
Yeah.
to bring it up again. Sorry. But I know you really tried.
Yeah.
But like you still found your way into being able to work with bodies and helping other people heal their bodies. And I love that you're adding another layer to it, exactly what you're saying with the holistic part. And I think, when whoever is going to watch this in the future is kind of like thinking like the educational system is changing, and is another reason why I'm here too, because I'm like, I ain't gonna be in that system. I was like, this is wickedy whack for me personally. I was like, this, because I was gonna teach high school, college maybe, and I was like, if I can't control the curriculum in any way, and I have to go through 6 to 8 years of something to prove that I think this is going to serve our generation, our next generation better, I was like, I'm not even going to have that conversation. I'll just meet y'all online, and I'll meet y'all online, and I will go find your teachers. So looking at you, Tiff, when we will talk to you and students in the next 6 to 8 years when you're certified, whatever,
Absolutely.
right? Also, at the same time, you can meet so many athletes where they're at right now. And so I've just noticed with Masculine Center folks, let's break it down. Where do we find ourselves, most of us typically? And again, this representation part, right? So I've observed them either military, law enforcement, firefighter-esque. I don't know if that's a whole place, if that's a whole industry. Where else do we see us? They do become athletes and personal
Outside of
trainers.
sports,
That's a big
yeah.
one.
Personal trainers, for sure.
Personal trainers.
Yeah.
Where else do you find us? And I think on the low end, I see us like security guards, UPS drivers. I've observed.
That's actually a good one. Yes.
Yeah, 'cause
That
it's still
XGPS, for sure.
body.
Yeah. Yeah, the physicality part.
And so again, this is why I this platform is important for me, because I'm like, I know there's more of us out here, but I mean, there's also not enough of us for me specifically in entertainment. So that's why I'm like, how do I highlight
Definitely
more of
not there.
us?
Yeah.
And again, showing that there's other ways to live. Because if all we're seeing is these certain paths, I'm like, is that all my choices?
Is that my options? That's it?
Are those my
Yeah.
options? But also, there's so many choices now, and so I think wanting to encourage, like, continue to be open, continue to put effort, but also, like, there's a level of knowing yourself. If you've known you loved body stuff this whole time, so many, as long as we're living in it, there's going to be so many things to be able to do with it. But if we never take the time to ask ourselves, what is it that we actually like, or and things that excite us, then it's like, then you'll start building other people's dreams. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody needs a team to build dreams and things of that sort. But if we don't take the time to self-reflect, to do a little bit of that journaling, whether it's on your little text flippy thingamajiggy and your little love letters that you shouldn't be bringing home from college, come on now, like
Paper trail, apparently,
you know what I mean? So
Gotta leave it.
Yeah, I think it's super important. That's why I'm like, where is all of us, and where are other examples and role models that we can follow too? So again, whole reason why you're here. You know what I mean? Like, and again, there's going to be people who watch the show and they're not going to resonate with me. Like, K-Short talks too fucking much, but it's like, Tiff is like, I like them a lot better. They're a lot more chill. They still, you know what I mean? Still kick some booty on the field or on the court. It's like, I love that. You know what I mean? And I want to know how they did it. And so, if you want to leave any paper trail, this is the paper trail that I'm trying to leave.
This is the one.
This is the one. And so, my last two conversations, I can't help but, and you mentioned it with your mom wanting to go into psychiatry-ness.
Yeah.
What have you gathered so far about your mom as a human being, not as your mom? I know, it's hard to be like, because mom is mom. Like, I'm a whole human being birthed through you, so it's really hard to not have that attachment, and that that connection. But why, in the psychiatric psychology part, what event happened to her or events that happened to her, or programming, right? I'm curious,
Yeah, that was the
programming
big question. Yeah.
that was implanted into her superpower brain, because this thing is super powerful, y'all. It's built this whole thing, what we're living in, what you're watching, what's in your hand right now. These things in between these 6 inches. What have you observed so far as to why being queer, having a queer child, a gay child, is it's just kind of hard to wrap the mind around for some reason? Or maybe what is she projecting? There's stories she's telling herself that if my child chooses this lifestyle and this experience, and it's going to be hard. That's typically one that I hear often, you know? So what have you come up with so far?
I think what you just said is definitely part of it, but I think that, or what you just said regarding, I don't want my child to suffer. I think there's a huge, like, okay, this is my baby, this is my thing. I just want to protect it at all costs.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want it to have a hard life. I think there's a big element of that. But I think that stems from, so we can go back to the faith-based community. My grandparents very not open-minded in regards to sexuality, doing anything outside of what they were taught to do in tradition, you know, like even mixing, even my mom having us, you know, is a big deal. My dad is very much an Asian looking man. He's black and Chinese.
Wow.
But he doesn't look just black at all. You know, people don't know what the heck he is when they look at him.
Sounds handsome.
And so he's a cutie. But yeah, just even dating outside of the race, that's already checklist, hard no.
And that's why
you're pushing it there.
And that's why I was curious about being mixed growing up there. So I was like, but you're like, no,
Yeah.
it was. I'm like, okay, continue.
Like, yeah.
So your
So
mom
that-
got the brunt of that. That was her differentness.
Right.
Gotcha.
I think that was some of her differentness. She's got like some of her other, like coming up, she sounded different because she had a surgical procedure on her throat that went wrong, and they didn't sue for that, which I think they should have. But anyway, and so she's been outcasted, whether it was by her or by friends or a mix of both. But like she had to grow up and struggle there with being able to connect with people and meet with people. And that's something that she's overcome, which I'm so proud of her, because like even when we were kids, she would sometimes want us to go and like order stuff because, you know, we could project a little more. That way, if we were in drive-thru, she'd be like, okay, girls, I want this. And she's like, okay, you know, that's what mom told us to do. We're going to order her food. But her being able to do that on her own and grow into just have that confidence to, yeah, I'm here. I'm taking up space. I'm here. You acknowledge me. You listen to me, even if it's hard to hear me, you take time to try. And that's been beautiful to see. But yeah, I think she has her own little traumas and that way. But I definitely think my grandparents have put a very big pressure on her to just excel in the ways that they've expected her to excel, which, you know, I think that's typical, right? You know, they set the foundation. All they're doing is their best. Everybody's just doing their best with what they were given. And so, yeah, like part of that day and age, yeah, you're not gonna be gay. That's hard. You're not gonna be gay and in church. No, absolutely not. Not in the black church. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So, that's tough. And as much as I know my mom loves me, and as much as I'm sure she could see that I was uncomfortable in these dresses she's trying to put me in, and you know, I just want to go play with the boys. I don't want to sit here and do dishes after dinner because I'm a girl, but the guys get to go and sit down and just go have fun, play checkers and stuff like that. Like, why do I have to do that just because I'm a girl? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. You're just telling me to do it because that's what I'm told to do. But why? But why? And so, yeah, my mom's just doing what she was told to do. And for me to come up and be that shiny thing that's like, hey, you got the different one. What you gonna do with it? You know, you try to put that light in the box. And there's okay, just chill out. Just just be normal for a little bit. You know, like I don't want you to, don't draw attention to yourself. Don't, whatever the case is. I don't want my parents to question you or like take these things out on you. I don't want you hurt is, I think, a big piece of that for my mom. And so,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. I owe a lot of that to I think my grandparents for sure.
Which is interesting because you said that your grandparents actually helped raise you too.
Yeah, I hung out with them a lot because my dad was in and out of jail, so he wasn't really around. And so my mom needed support, and grandparents were always there.
Were you receiving that kind of?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Interesting.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks. So
Yeah.
I mean,
But like, yeah, for sure. Like if, like even the example of me saying, yeah, it's a thing after dinner's over at my grandparents' house. The girls stay in the kitchen, do the cleanup. The guys just go get to do their thing. That has irked my soul for years, and like to this day, if I go home for the holidays, that's still the case. But it's at this point, you know, it's not. That's a small little stab. I don't mind that. It's fine. I'll go do the dishes because I know that's also helping you.
yeah.
But like things like helping my grandpa around the farm, I'll go pick up the biggest log because like I'm strong too. I'm not going to leave it for the guys. I can do it. I play basketball. I'm athletic. You know, just like little things like that. My grandpa would just be like, Tiff, you don't have to do that. Like pick up what you can. Like, no, I can do it.
So interesting.
Just you know, whatever way I can just like stick it to you, prove you wrong.
Yeah.
I was out there trying to do it.
Yeah.
But they're constantly telling me like, no, like, go do whatever the girls do. Go hang with the girls. Go put on the pink shirt instead of the black and red button down. Wear the soft pink hat so my boy cousin can wear the blue hat. You know, to go out into the field and stuff. Just little things like that.
Yeah.
You know, or like Tiff, you don't want to be perceived as a little boy, so don't wear the hat at all. Little things like that. And so,
yeah.
constantly, always getting stuff like that.
Yeah. And
It's fucking annoying.
and is it? Let me ask you this: is it? Is assuming it's your mom's parents? Is your and they're black parents?
Yeah.
So again, it's seeing generationally the trickle down of that otherness, that outcasting, that differentness, and it's not that there's anything. We know that there's nothing wrong with any of these these. Like that's how
Right.
God made you. You know what I mean? But because of the society and the times that we live in, it's ironic and interesting to be like these are who the outcasts were at your grandparents' time. You was a person of
point in
color and
time,
black.
yeah.
You was the outcast, and then with your mom, y'all mixing and mingling, and then of course you had the voice thing. So like they just experienced what it meant, what it felt like to be outcasted, and so then yours is being queer and being gay, and they're just like, oh my, and so it's like this thread, this common thread, you know, which is so interesting that it's something different every single time. But again, it brings me back to like just full circle, just being like, these are all these things that make us different. But then at the same time, what are the things that make us the same? You know, so also just trying to find the commonalities between our stories, which another one I was going to say is your mom was a nurse. My mom cared for older folks. And one of the main stories I have in my head, yeah, she was cleaning and wiping butts too, you know, but like in the house, and I had to watch it, you know what I mean? And you know, and again, in the conversation we have of how we want to take care of our moms and how that trickles into our romantic relationships, you know, and how we have this fun tension of wanting to be like our dads, but wanting to love women like our moms. And this could just go on forever and ever and ever, y'all. And I think this is why our stories are so important. I don't know where they're captured. I don't know where to find them. And so I'm just like, I think I'm just going to start documenting them myself because,
I'm a creator.
yeah, there's just there's so much of what it means to live in these vessels. But at the same time, my biggest thing is I think the conversation I've observed is that it's so, how do we use these vessels to realize that we have that much more to offer and that's that much more to give, and how much, I can't remember, there's this word I used to call us when I first launched this platform in 2020, but I was like, if we as spirits in these vessels can really take the time, energy, and effort to know ourselves, to grow ourselves, to be with each other, imagine us and how impactful we are no matter what room we walk in. Like I feel like, are the game changers in society. I feel like we are the secret sauce in society. You know what I mean? You know when your grandma
Facts.
like put that little sauce that you're like,
Facts.
I know that's grandma's cooking. I know that's Lola's cooking. I don't know what she put in there because I followed the same recipe, but she put something else in there. And I don't know what it is.
It ain't come out
It
the
don't
same.
come out the
That's
same.
right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like anytime if you put a healthy, well, person like us in a room, that room ain't gonna be the same. You know what I mean? The room's not the same. I don't know. We that secret sauce. I personally think in the gumbo. You know what I mean? Or in the stew.
I'll fuck with
You know what I mean?
that.
So that's why I'm here.
fuck
I'm like,
with it.
look, we need to cultivate this sauce and get it down to this little perfect little spice, And I think the biggest thing that we have to continue to cultivate is that sense of worthiness and how enough we are.
Yes.
How worthy and enough we are.
That.
And so, to wrap this up, I would remiss because this is another layer. This is another layer that's so hard to find. I would remiss if we didn't get the chance to talk about faith, growing up in the church, and what that has meant for you, for better or for worse. And how has that tensified with your family being in it, your understanding of it, and if potentially it's something that you still practice and just trying to make sense of this time that we have here on earth. I know this one, I was like, there's so much to us. It's so fascinating.
Yeah. That's
a big ending. We're gonna go out with a bang because
That's a big
I will say that I'm sure, and this is just being transparent with y'all, I'm sure religion has somehow found its way into all of our lives, one way or another, and it is within the society that we live in, and it's this weird tension of a place that it says it accepts everybody, but then it doesn't. But then, how do we? Because how else other way is to live than love our neighbor? You know what I mean? So there's this weird tension that I'm trying to unravel and uncover and gather some class notes on. And so I'm really just here observing, listening, and wanting to hear about your experience and not coming from any angle of an agenda. So.
Yeah. That is interesting because, my mom actually her and Vince recently got back into church, pretty heavily. And there's just feelings around it that I'm still kind of processing where I'm just like, okay, good for y'all. Kinda, I don't know. So I'll speak from my personal feelings of one, just being forced just to go to church, period. It's fine. I think that there should be structure in your child's life. If church is the thing that's important to you, sure, they can grow up in church, and then if they get to a point where they're older and they express that, this is not something I want to do, then you're open to that, but at least they had the exposure. I think I'm at a point where, specifically with Southern Missionary Baptist Christian faith church that I was growing up in, given everything you've heard about my mom and my grandparents specifically, knowing and seeing that there was not a place for me, and there wasn't people like me in church, and just feeling outcasted, and then also being told specifically that, I'm not, if I were to be this way, then I'm going to hell, or I will suffer, or that I'm wrong, or, just being told that constantly. That should, it sucks. It's like you're being told you're not going to love me because I am who I am. I literally am that thing, and you're telling me to my face, I don't belong here. It's like, well, of course I'm not going to tell you I'm that thing then, but where do I belong then? So it's not here. Where is it? But you're still forcing me to come here. So I guess I'll figure that out later down the road. And all right, so in college, there were a couple churches that I tried to go to. Had great experiences at the church. They're what's the word? Non-denominational.
Why, if you don't mind me
Non-denominational
asking,
churches.
why were you seeking that community?
Because my mom kept
Okay,
asking
gotcha,
me all the
gotcha.
time. She's like, "Did you try to go to church? Did you try to find a church?" I was just like, get out my face. No, I'm not going to church because if they're the same thing that I've been seeing for the last 18 years, I don't want any parts of it. And so you try these other things that say they're not like the thing that you're used to. So I went to a non-denominational church, had good experiences. But then at the end of the day, it's just like, I don't feel like I'm just not drawn to keep coming back to this because at the end of the day, it still feels like there's that underlying tension of like, well, you walk into this new church, it's like, are they who they say they are? Like, are you going to look at me sideways if I'm wearing a suit or a tie or, just whatever, if I still show up as myself? I think there's less of that these days. And I'm sure I could find a church where I would feel completely welcome. And I don't think I feel the need to participate in that at this point in life. I feel more drawn to spirituality and just finding things that rejuvenate me or make me feel closer to the universe. I don't have to label it as God. I don't have to label it as Christianity. As long as I feel like I am being a decent human. Like, I just want to be a good person. I want to feed and fuel the people who love me and even the ones that don't love me. Just like give back to the world what has been given to me times 10. Just like do good. But yeah, I don't feel like I was given that example as a kid coming up in church. And so it's kind of pushed me away from wanting to be involved in any of that. Because I know it's still out there. Less where I'm at in my little bubble now, but like if I go back home, it's still the same shit. So, hearing my mom is getting back into, well, I should probably preface, she's going to a different church, or they joined a different church. And so this church, it seems, more youthful and like a little more modern, but at the end of the day, there's still like little traces of that. It's not like a non-denominational church. It's not run by young folks or Gen Zers or, whatever, people in our age group. It's just like my mom's generation now, and like maybe a little younger, which still have their issues. So it's just like, I don't know what she's out there doing, but they're happy and getting involved and giving her a sense of purpose. And like, there's healthy things to it. And so it looks good. It feels good. If they're having fun, I'm here for it. But yeah, just me personally, it's just like, I don't need that right now. I'm good. I feel like I feel connected enough at the moment. And I know there's an avenue I can take should I decide to approach that part of my life again. But yeah, right now I'm just like, no, I'm good on church stuff.
Is there, growing
So-
up in it, pure curiosity, because growing up in it as close as you did with them in positions and, you know what I mean, things of that sort, is there anything that has stuck with you in a positive way that you still navigate and
Yeah.
implement in your daily life?
Like, I'd say music is a big thing
Yeah.
for me. Music is a huge part of how I think just Black folk in general worship in church. But like I play drums, and so like back in church I would play drums as well. And that's a good connection piece for other people. Like, yeah, Tiff, you did good today. It's like, thanks, I enjoyed it. And so like coming back to that is pretty cool. Let's see. What are some other good things?
It's so hard, right? Like,
I'm
yeah,
sure
it's
they're
so
there.
hard when you have
I'm
one
sure
bad
they're there.
experience, and this is even if you go into a restaurant, you have had 100 great
Yeah.
experiences. That one, you're like, I ain't going back there again. And then it takes another 10
Yeah.
times, if you even choose to go there again to get ramen or whatever, most likely not going to. So it's just interesting how our brains work. We're like, yeah, all these great things happen, but that one time, that one I mean, but this is a big thing. This is a huge thing, y'all. And so I think for me, yeah, we've kind of just been dispersed. You know what I mean? Like dispersed in so many places. And a big place where we've been dispersed, of course, is the queer community. I think this is my last little tidbit. I'm just curious if, do you feel like the queer, like, have you found your place? Have you found your home? Have you found your community? And I'm curious if the queer community, if finds its way in there too. I only say that because it doesn't really fit for me. I know that I'm a part of it, and like, but when I do the thing, I'm like, cool, but I was like, it's not quite the best fit yet. And I'm like, it's not quite the best fit yet. So yeah, I'm just curious with you.
I would agree. I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm still looking for community, especially, you know, all of my people are still back on the East Coast. And so, yeah, there's things I'm missing. I miss the bros, you know, the homies that I can just kick it with, that are, granted, I ain't got a lot of time to kick it and do anything these days, but like when I could, you know, I didn't have it. But just, I feel like my sense of community is very small out here, but like I have lots of great people in my life. Yeah. Okay, short. And just like, you know, there's lots of people that I would like to get to know more and like build more of that up with, and just be able to like, you know, just, hey, come over real quick. Just hang out, you know, or like, hey, you want to go to the beach real quick? I'm still searching for that sense of, this is my bubble. These are my people. This is, I don't know. I'm still looking for it. And I kind of heard that this is a San Diego thing too. So I'm like, is it really like people just are kind of shifty and too flowy and chill out here, where things don't actually get done and you don't actually get to connect and meet with the people and create these things? I don't think that's the case, but like, you know, I hear it's a little harder in San Diego to build, one, in a minority community, two, you add that with LGBT. I think it's, I don't know. Me personally, no. I don't think I found my people in my bubble and all that kind of stuff. So
let me ask you this. What kind of community, if you were to design your perfect community to some extent, what would that be? And then how would you define community? So whichever feels better to answer first. Because again, I mentioned in the beginning, oh, this is such a buzzword. Everyone's using buzz. Like, again, there's, you know, but like, it's something that's so innately in us as humans, relationships and community is so much like a part of our being that I'm just like, why can't we figure it out? And it's because of this, right? Like, we have access to this stuff now. So I'm just curious, how do you define community? And if you were to design your perfect community, what would that look like? Or what does it feel like? Or,
I think a big thing for me is like being able to, all right, so I don't like superficial shit. I don't want to just sit here and talk about scratch the surface
that's
stuff.
all we did this whole interview. We just scratched the surface.
Exactly, the whole thing. So it's like, can I talk real shit with people? And, you know, like, it doesn't have to always be real, but it likely will always be deep, real, how are you feeling type stuff. How does this make you feel? And then just let that carry. And so if you don't like to talk about your feelings, you probably aren't part of my bubble. And I want to also be able to like not have to talk. And we can just like enjoy each other's energy and just like, be on our phones for 2 hours, or like sit at the beach and just listen to music and not talk about anything. But granted, we'll probably talk about something. But just like, I don't know. It's a feeling of just, you're the homie. Like that's cool. We're on the same wave. And if we aren't on the same wave, we can agree to disagree respectfully and still in a friendly, cordial, cool kind of way. But I feel like I'm just drawn to like stylish, schmexy people who are, people you walk by and you're just like, dang, I want to look twice at that person, like I like people that feel good, and when you feel good, I feel like I'm sorry, when you feel like you look good, then you just give off that certain kind of energy, people are just drawn to it. And so I want
Schmexy.
people who are confident, confident and just who you are, because I'm at that level in life now where I'm not like questioning shit. It's just like, I know how I show up. I know what my strong suits are. I know what your strong suits are because I've checked you out and like you check these boxes for me. So like we could be homies. Like, what's up? You with it or no? No? Okay, cool. Go somewhere.
Schmexy.
But yeah, schmexy.
I feel like that's a word that you
So,
and Measure came up with. Like that sounds like well, an A and B conversation. With that said, just to wrap things up here,
yeah.
who are you in this moment? Just to kind of mark it in time, you're saying that like, I know who I am. I know, how I'm navigating through these streets. And I just want to give you the opportunity to speak to your younger self and also commemorate to your older self and be like, so who are you today? As it will change and evolve over time. But I'm sure there's been some common threads since being a young person. So who is Tiffany Houston?
Tiffany Houston, she is one, not a boy, because as a kid, I just always thought that, I'm gonna just have to be a boy. I just want to be a boy. That would make life so much easier. And so I'm sure that's
that's going to be a
whole
whole
nother
panel
tangent we could
discussion.
touch.
Yes, that's a whole panel
Again.
discussion.
Yes. So, Tiffany, you're happy to say that you're not a boy, and you, you're soft, but still have nice, firm boundaries, a nice hardened exterior, but just like a super soft interior. And I think that's my strong suit. It's just like, okay, I got the smile, but like also if you see me in public, I've been told, I don't look approachable, but that's on purpose because I know I'm so fucking tender and soft. If I let you in, it's game over. And so it's just like, it doesn't take much, but just a hello, a hi, like, hey, what's up? Like, I like your hat. Like, me, you like my hat? I'm just gonna light up just like that. But, I can't just be letting everybody into the bubble. So you are a very vibrant, happy, beach loving, burrito loving, warm weather, sun loving, stud, soft stud, or masculine presenting. I like that. I like it's long, but I think if I had kind of heard that as a kid and just kind of had a chance to sit with that more, I think that'd be nice. Like you could be masculine presenting, but still be soft on the inside and be the girl that you kind of have to be or something like, whatever it is that resonates. It's just like, okay, this is comfortable for me. Like I'm chill. I'm happy. I have it all. Like I feel very fortunate and blessed to be where I'm at. Doing what I love to do, doing movement-based stuff, being physical, getting to be outside. That's huge for me. Outsideness is just like, it brings me joy. It brings me, it rejuvenates everything in me. I just love it. So like today is supposed to be like 83 degrees outside. I'm just like, I'm not staying inside and studying all day. I'm going outside, gonna get some water, go to the beach or something like that. So, I'm my wildest dream, as cliche as it sounds. It's just, I'm everything that I didn't think I could be. I'm just fucking proving everybody wrong. You're also on your way to be a doctor. That's something I always wanted to be. So that's huge.
Yeah,
man.
you are.
I'm fucking crushing it. That's
Yeah,
who
you
Tiffany
are.
is. I'm fucking crushing it. And it's cool to just be able to say that and be confident in it. And to love it, to genuinely love it.
I love that. Tiff, thank you so much for being on the show. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I
Thank
appreciate you for just...
It's awesome. I feel like we have to go and get coffee after this.
Yes,
at
no,
some point.
of course,
Just like
of
connect
course.
back in person, because I don't know
how
if
do
we have
how
time for
do
another
we
podcast
dispel
episode,
the
but-
San Diego myth? I do agree. I think the distance, is a little bit challenging, but I also think that it can be done. People have done it many times before. But regardless,
Yeah,
I'm going to wrap up the show, but stay on because it needs to upload. Cool? Okay. So, again, like I said,
Okay.
thank you for being on the show and just sharing your story, for being vulnerable. Like, I know
Yes.
that it wasn't easy, so I just want you to know when you watch these episodes, like, preface, if you say yes to be a guest, you're only guest number 2. So if you preface to be a guest, just know that hopefully some journaling has been done, whatever the case may be, but that you're just willing to unravel yourself, in real time with someone who's just curious and wanting to just compare and contrast, like, hey, this is how I'm living life. Is this how you're living life? And are we experiencing similar things? And how can we get through it together? Because again, like being in these vessels, y'all, it can be super complex sometimes, but it can also be really simple. And again, and coming back to like to still choose that joy, to still choose that happiness. Like there's so many reasons why we can see things from a different lens. Exactly what you're saying towards the end, where that you are becoming and are your wildest dreams. And I want those who are watching to realize that, like, we are literally, I love that you said that, we are the wildest dreams of our ancestors. We're the wildest dreams, of our grandparents and our parents. And it's like each generation is going to have to deal with something different. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like as like what Tiffany was talking about, just continuing to cultivate the things that speak most true to us. For Tiff, it's doing a lot of body stuff and now pursuing becoming, a doctor. Like that's incredible. And I just wanted to show you all that even though we didn't have role models, that doesn't mean that we're not out here and that you can't have them yourself. So Tiff, thank you so much for just, modeling what it means to go
Thank
after
Yeah.
these wildest dreams, and for just continuing to stay soft in a world that wants to continue to make us hard. I think that's probably one of our biggest battles, that our generation and the next generation will have to fight, is to know that there's still good in the world. And I'm on a mission to find us. So y'all,
Listen, I appreciate you just wanting to piece this together, creating a space and the resources to make this thing happen, because it's needed, it's necessary. Like I wish I saw half this stuff as a kid. Like this, fantastic. So thank you for just like having the drive and the desire to want to make this happen for folks and for the future.
yeah. And thank you for honestly not giving up.
Super important.
Because that could be a whole other conversation. There's so many conversations to have, y'all. Yeah, so
That
please
needs to be a conversation. Yeah,
just know the conversations I anticipate to have is, wanting to give up, and sometimes for this whole thing, there's a lot of us that are unhoused. You mentioned that you potentially, I didn't get to go deep, but your family was trying to kick you out the house. You know what I mean? For some people, depending on what happened with you, but for some people, that's the case. And there's so many of us out in the street. There's conversations about us. At what point do we know that we are boys? Like that we want to be in male bodies, and that tension, you know what I mean? And conversation. So there's so much to talk about, y'all. I'm just in the midst of finding role models and mentors out here and guides, and who, again, who are just still choosing to be a light and be soft in this world. And we're hard to find. So just know that when I do bring them to the platform, there's a level of discernment that has already happened, but know that in the future we'll be having some panel discussions about this so that we can collectively be like, okay, let's compare, contrast. How do we, I want to bring on our trans brothers on here and be like, how did you know? You know what I mean? Because I've had the same thoughts too. I'm just like, but then I knew, I was like, no, that's not me. So that's a whole third row.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
was about to say, I think, yeah,
so
yeah, that
anticipate
should
those
definitely
kinds
be
of
talked about.
conversations, those roundtable discussions, y'all. So again, thank you so much for watching Leading the Pack. Tiff, thank you for leading the pack wherever
Thank you,
you're at,
Tiffany.
whether it's working at this utility company and helping. Now I know, I'm like, hey, yo, y'all know Tiff? I know y'all know. If you don't know, then
Right?
that
When
means
you
you
see
need to
him, ask
go
him.
because you might be getting hurt out in these streets. Are you the only person on staff for them for this? Just at it. Okay. Okay.
No, it's only a
All right.
handful of us,
They
but I'm
should
one of the
know.
5,
Okay, good,
so
good,
they
good.
should know me
Good,
by now.
good.
They should
Okay,
know.
perfect. So
ask them for
yes,
sure.
so thank you for leading
For
the
sure.
pack.
Yeah.
And thank you for being on the platform.
you.
And I look forward to us continuing to cultivate this community and actually putting in the effort on what it means to build that. So y'all, if this is something that you're interested in, please subscribe. If you have any questions for Tiff, make sure to leave them in the comments below. Tiff, if they can get in touch with you, what's the preferred way of getting in touch with you?
Instagram. Instagram's
Okay.
cool. You can hit me up at Tiffy Appleseed, Tiffy_Appleseed. And I'm sure that'll be in show notes or something down below. So yeah, you can follow me there. You could also follow my Hungry
Hey.
Houstons. Me and my sister, we
I do like that
food.
name.
If you're
I
into
do like
food,
that name.
yeah,
It's a cute one.
it's kinda-
It's a cute
kinda
one. Yes.
But yeah, you can follow me and her there, and you can follow me at Tiffy Appleseed.
Perfect. And
yeah.
if y'all want to follow us on Instagram, it's going to be Tomboy International. So Tomboy with an I connected to the INTL. So yeah, if y'all want to follow that, and we will see you offline, and actually we'll see you online next time, and then eventually we'll be seeing each other offline in the near future. Maybe we
Yeah.
go do a pickup game of basketball. I cannot wait. I
Listen,
cannot
that
wait.
needs to
That's
happen.
literally,
All the
I'm
things
literally
need to
just
happen.
trying to find a crew, y'all. I'm just trying to find crew, and just know,
Squad.
like, I want some
Let's go.
traveling in the future soon. So come on, we need to get our coin up. There's so much to talk about and to build. Yes.
We're scratching the surface here. This felt like this was I don't even know. This was the primer.
1,000.
Like more needs to happen.
More
for sure.
needs
Let's
to
talk about
happen.
it all.
All right, stay here,
Yes.
Tiff.
Little travel
Yeah,
group.
I know.
Yes.
All
yeah.
right, y'all. Stay tuned. We will see you all in the next
All right.
episode.